Smallpox emerged in 10,000 BC, and in the 18th century, 400,000 people died from it, and by the 20th century, between 300 to 500 million people died. Smallpox also played a large role in the fall of the Aztecs due to the large death tolls. The Chinese were the first to develop any sort of treatment or preventative measures. They powdered scabs of the infected and blew them into the nose to induce infection. This treatment was considered very expensive. A cheaper option was to give clothing of the infected children to children who were not infected. Variolation then emerged, which is when pustules were taken from an infected person and driven into the muscle and skin in the forearm of an uninfected person. This treatment was considered effective, but the death rate was 3%. Lady Montagu, who witnessed variolation in Turkey, encouraged this treatment in England. Now, we must look at Edward Jenner, who was born in Berkeley, UK, in 1749 and was the eighth of 9 children. He received a basic education throughout his childhood and did well in school. Interestingly, while at school, he was inoculated with smallpox, making him very sick, which had lasting impacts. He then decided to pursue medicine and then followed several surgeons for years to fuel his scientific interests. Jenner eventually became an apprentice to a country surgeon, where he heard about milkmaids being safe from smallpox because they had cowpox. This idea interested him, which he returned to later. After completing this internship, he traveled to London, where he studied under John Hunter, a famous surgeon in England. Hunter greatly influenced Jenner, and the two remained friends and worked together for years. Hunter actually helped Jenner's proposed election to the Royal Society for Jenner's discoveries related to cuckoo birds. Jenner then returned to the countryside of England, still interested in the connection between cowpox and smallpox. Jenner began experimenting and studying a possible connection between the diseases, but Benjamin Jesty was the first to test this idea. Jesty examined the link between the diseases by deliberately infecting his family with cowpox in the hopes of protecting them from smallpox. As he suspected, no one in his family developed smallpox. Then, in 1796, Jenner finally decided to test the idea himself. He did this by taking fluid from a milkmaid who had contracted cowpox after milking a cow named Blossom. Jenner inoculated James Phipps, an 8-year-old boy, with this cowpox. The boy developed a slight fever but no other symptoms. Jenner then exposed this boy to smallpox, and the boy did not get sick. Jenner eventually presented his findings, which included his experiment with James Phipps and 12 others, to the Royal Society, but it was rejected for unknown reasons. Jenner then decided to add more cases to his experiment, including his son Robert, to show that cowpox exposure prevented smallpox development. Jenner independently published his own work, where he coined the terms variole vaccine and vaccination. This publication led to some controversy over the effectiveness of vaccination, but by the 1800s, the technique of vaccination had reached other countries. Around this time, Jenner actually predicted the eradication of smallpox using vaccination. Outbreaks of smallpox continued throughout the world, but worldwide efforts allowed for its eradication, with the last known case in Somalia in 1977. Jenner's work is considered the foundation of immunology, as he laid the groundwork for the most important contribution to medical science.